Summary of Hamlet by William Shakespeare. Over the course of several nights, a ghost that looks like the recently dead King of Denmark walks the walls of Elsinore, Denmark's royal castle, putting all the guards on edge. Horatio, a gentleman, is suspicious when Marcellus, Francisco, and Bernardo, three scared sentinels, ask him to watch with them one night. When Horatio sees the ghost, he thinks that they should tell Hamlet, his best friend and the son of the dead king. Hamlet is also the nephew of the current king, Claudius, who not only took over the throne after his brother died but also married Gertrude, the king's widow. Claudius seems to be a good king because he is able to handle the threat of the Norwegian Prince Fortinbras, who wants to take back the lands his father lost in a fight with Hamlet's father. Hamlet, on the other hand, can't accept his uncle's rule because he is angry about Gertrude's marriage to Claudius and angry at his mother and uncle for ruining his father's memory by marrying Gertrude and Claudius. Hamlet agrees to meet the ghost, and as they talk, the ghost says it is his father's spirit. Claudius killed him with poison, the ghost says. He did not die of natural causes. Hamlet is now very angry, so when the ghost tells him to get payback, he does it right away. As time goes on, though, Hamlet isn't sure if what the ghost said is true, and he has a hard time deciding if he should really kill his uncle. He doesn't get his payback right away, so he starts to act crazy, thinks about killing himself, and gets very angry at all women. He tells himself that his madness is a cover that will let him look into his uncle without the king figuring out that Hamlet is on to him. However, as Hamlet looks into his own existence and moral center, he starts to feel major distress, if not full-blown crazy. Polonius, the old counselor who is always nice to the king, starts to think that Hamlet's actions are caused by his feelings for Polonius's daughter, Ophelia. Claudius and Gertrude aren't happy with what Polonius says, so they call Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, two of Hamlet's old school friends, to find out what's wrong with him. As Polonius plans to use Ophelia as a pawn to spy on a meeting between Hamlet and Ophelia, Hamlet comes up with a plan of his own, to have a new group of players put on a play that looks like Claudius's supposed murder of King Hamlet, and then watch Claudius's response. Hamlet decides that if Claudius acts in a way that shows he is really guilty, he will have no moral questions about killing the king to get revenge for his father's death. In other words, he won't have any reason not to take action and kill the king. Polonius and Claudius are able to watch Ophelia and Hamlet's meeting. During the meeting, Ophelia tries to return gifts and letters that Hamlet has given her over an unknown amount of time. This suggests that Ophelia and Hamlet have had a love and possibly sexual relationship for a while. Hamlet gets very angry at women and marriage. He says that women only make bad people and tells Ophelia to go live in a convent and stay away from men. Claudius thinks that Hamlet does not love Ophelia and is not crazy. Claudius plans to send Hamlet to England, where he will be less of a bother, because he is becoming more unstable. But that night at the play, when the players act out a scene that looks like the murder of King Hamlet, Claudius runs out of the room, which shows to Hamlet that he is guilty. Gertrude, Hamlet's mother, is upset about how he behaved at the play. She calls him to her room to talk to him about what's going on. Hamlet almost gets his chance to get back at Claudius when he sees him praying alone in a room while he is on his way to see Gertrude. Hamlet waits, though, because Claudius's soul might go to heaven if he is praying when he dies. Hamlet can't do anything, even after figuring out that Claudius is guilty because of his complicated plan. Hamlet scolds his mother in Gertrude's room for marrying Claudius so quickly that she fears he might kill her. Hamlet sees the ghost of his father again, but Gertrude says she can't see it and screams that her son is really crazy. Polonius calls for help while watching the meeting from behind a curtain. Hamlet thinks Polonius is Claudius, so he kills him by stabbing him through the fabric. Claudius sends Hamlet to England with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern because he says he wants to keep Hamlet from getting in trouble for killing Polonius. Claudius's real goal, though, is to kill Hamlet. He sends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern away with a letter asking the King of England, which is a friend of Denmark, to kill Hamlet on the spot. Laertes, Polonius's son, comes back from school in France to get revenge for his father's death. He finds that his sister Ophelia has gone crazy because of her grief over the death of her father and Hamlet's rejection of her. He watches as she puts on a macabre and yet spellbinding show, singing old nursery rhymes and bawdy barroom songs while giving flowers to the members of court that aren't really there. Claudius tells Laertes that Hamlet is to blame for both Polonius's death and Ophelia's madness. When Claudius hears that Hamlet got away from Denmark because of a pirate attack, he comes up with a new plan. He wants Hamlet and Laertes to have a friendly fight, but Laertes' sword will be poisoned. Claudius will poison some wine that he will give to Hamlet if he wins as a backup plan. Ophelia seems to kill herself by drowning, so a wake is set up for her. Even though Christians don't usually bury people who have killed themselves, the two people who are making Ophelia's grave say that she will be buried with a limited set of rites because she is a noble woman. When Hamlet gets back to Elsinore, he sees that the gravediggers are already at work. As he watches them happily doing their sad jobs, he sees them toss out Yorick's head, who was his father's old court clown. Hamlet's existentialism and nihilism hit new heights when he looks at the head and realizes that all souls, no matter how good or bad, end up in the same place. When Hamlet finds out that Ophelia is being buried, he rushes into her funeral and says that he loved her more than anyone else, even though Laertes is so sad that he throws himself into his sister's grave. Back at the castle, Hamlet tells Horatio about his adventures on the sea. He tells Horatio that he found out about Claudius's plan and made a fake letter written in Claudius's handwriting to have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern killed instead of him. This way, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern will be killed as soon as they reach England. When a courtier named Osric tells Hamlet that Laertes has challenged him to a duel, Hamlet accepts the dare with courage. Horatio tells Hamlet that he has a bad feeling about the match, but Hamlet tells Horatio that he no longer cares if he lives or dies, he wants to leave his fate up to God. Before Claudius can stop her, Gertrude drinks from the poisoned glass of wine to Hamlet's success during the match. Then, Laertes cuts Hamlet with the poisoned blade, but in the fight that follows, Hamlet cuts Laertes with his sword. Gertrude falls and dies after saying that the wine was poisoned. Laertes finds out that Claudius is a traitor when he realizes that his own poison will kill him too. Hamlet kills Claudius by cutting him with the poisoned sword and pouring wine down his throat, killing him the same way Claudius poisoned Hamlet's father. Just before Laertes falls down and dies, Hamlet and Laertes forgive each other. As Hamlet is dying, he hears the drums of Fortinbras's army moving through Denmark after a fight with the Polish. With his last breath, he tells Horatio that Fortinbras should be the next king of Denmark. As Hamlet looks around at the mess of spilled wine and bloody bodies, he tells Horatio to tell everyone the whole truth about what happened. Horatio says goodbye to the sweet prince as he dies. Fortinbras comes in with two English diplomats who tell him that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern have died. Horatio starts to talk about Hamlet's life, and Fortinbras tells Hamlet's body to be put on a bier and shown off with all the respect and glory a soldier deserves.
About the author. In 1564, William Shakespeare was born. His father was a glovemaker and assemblyman in Stratford-upon-Avon, and his mother was the daughter of a wealthy farmer. At age 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years older than him. Between the mid-1580s and 1613, he wrote many plays, including Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, The Henriade, Julius Caesar, Othello, and many others. In 1609, he put out a book of sonnets. In the mid-1590s, when London's stages were closed because of the plague, he put out other long works. Shakespeare was said to have died of a fever in 1616, just a month after writing a will in which he said he was healthy. His writings that are still around include almost 40 plays and more than 150 sonnets. His work is still performed, studied, and revised today.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.